You are definitely right. We were very concerned and worried how we were going to make these little sweet, beautiful pups ferocious monsters. Um, and so yeah, I guess they probably used a lot of CGI to help with that.
They had like blood on them, and they were great actors, I must
No,
say. Like they would bring the fear factor. It wasn't too difficult.
No.
You can think similarly too. There's
There's,
certainly not a lot of people I could co-direct with, but because our brains think very similarly, it was I only want to direct like that anyway. It's too much for one
well, I'm
person.
grateful for that. I'm grateful for that. Yeah, it's I can't imagine how anybody does it completely alone, frankly.
Well, and you work with quite a few dogs on this film, and I have a theory that the real dogs were sweethearts. Can you speak to whether I'm right or wrong?
you are definitely right. We were very concerned and worried how we were going to make these little sweet, beautiful pups ferocious monsters. And so yeah, I guess they probably used a lot of CGI to help with that.
Well, and this is only the First Brothers' second feature film after originally being composers. And so, as an actor, what do you think the advantages are with them coming from that world?
Griff is an actor, so he comes from the acting world, and so I feel like I really like connect with him because he knows like the language and the feeling of an actor, and so when he's directing, I think he kind of like goes from that way. Um, and Nathan is like, the opposite. He's like the brainiac of it all, and he's moving real quick, and it's very interesting to go back and forth with them when one's doing one scene and then you have another scene that you get directed by them. It was a good time.
Well, and I see the poster behind you. I got very similar vibes from watching this as I did with The Meg, and I've always been so curious. So I'm actually a big fan of the books. And were you aware that DJ actually dies in the original novel?
In the first novel, he dies. Yeah, but they can't. You know what I'm saying? Listen, bro. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Remember, I told you I'm like mad transparent, more transparent than anybody else. You know, like Farmer J died in this too. But you know, I was like, hey, we in 2025. You can't be killing the black man in these movies no more, man. You gotta survive. And so he made sure that they survived. So that little last thing that you saw, that wasn't originally there. I had to pitch for that to happen because otherwise, and so I think that they had so much fun with me in the Meg that like they didn't want DJ to die.
I have to ask, were you one of the cast members that got E. coli during filming?
Not E. coli specifically, thank God, but we all experienced our stomach troubles for sure, which was tough on the boat scene specifically because there was, or the boat scenes, because there was one bathroom. So everyone got sick that day, and it was, yeah, you know what happens next.
Yeah.
But
Well, and the credits for this make the production on this movie look like the most fun thing on the planet. So, what was this experience like?
it really was what you see in the credits. That's the thing. Like it was maybe my most fun, like the most fun I've had on a shoot, in the movies I've done, to be honest. Like it was just, maybe it was also because of the cast chemistry. I think we all just got along super well, which was kind of a surprise to us because everyone's a little bit of a different age range and like, has their own personality, but we just all totally mesh and became family very quickly. And it was just fun. I mean, we're also shooting in Guatemala, which is a beautiful place, and had so many on location shoots, which I think kind of fueled a lot of the energy. Like we'd go
Mm.
to an island for a couple days to shoot, some of the running scenes, and then go to this place another day, and so just traveling all around and the constant movement. It was a great time. It was just so much fun.
When the cast of characters really represent the different types of influencers that are out there, did you have a specific influencer that Killer Queen was based on?
Hmm. Not someone specific, but I have seen a lot of like DIY YouTubers, especially when I was growing up. I feel like that was like the most popular thing. So I just had this huge like archive of and it kind of, I guess I kind of made her a conglomeration of all of those people, like all the DIYs that I've seen, and like everyone doing their little hacks and stuff. I've seen so many of those videos when I was growing up, so I was like, okay, I know what to do.
You co-directed this, Nathan, with this being your second, and Griff, this being your 18th, I believe. How did you guys split up the directing responsibilities?
We grew up in the same household, so our brains and like our frame of reference to movies and everything else is all identical, but we couldn't be more opposite as people. And so there's kind of just like a natural, and that's why it's so fun directing together. It's because we can bounce off each other and say yes and, but also have a completely different point of view about what works at any given time.
And Griff, what was the experience like co-directing with your brother versus directing on your own?
Well, we've done it before, and I really like it because it just, like, I haven't directed in, it's probably 5 years, and that's intentional because it's just so much work for a director. And you see a lot of dual directors happening. I mean, in the past, but more and more these days. Danny and Michael Filippo are two of my favorite guys doing it right now. The Daniels, of course. And it's like, and I've worked with Glenn Ficarra and John Requa a couple different times. And it's like, there's a really good dynamic to two directors. And it's like, especially when you're shooting something so quick, it's so hard and so easy to forget something. It's like, as long as you have two people, I feel like you have a stab at making something that's good. Whereas if you have one person, it's like, it's so exhausting. And also producing this movie too. It's just, it was too much. So having two heads on it, I think is really good for any movie at any level. As long as you have somebody that you like working with, that you can think similarly to. And there's certainly not a lot of people I could co-direct with, but because our brains think very similarly, I only want to direct like that anyway. It's too much.
Well, I'm grateful for that. Yeah, it's I can't imagine how anybody does it completely alone, frankly. It's a massive undertaking, especially in the low budget realm where you're constantly problem solving and trying to make things work, and you know the red carpet's not always rolled out. So I certainly wouldn't be able to do it with anybody else.
Yeah, especially shooting somewhere like Guatemala, where it's like, I have E. coli one day, he's got salmonella the other day, so somebody's got to pick up the slack.
Well, and you work with quite a few dogs on this film, and I've heard that they were quite nice. Did that make it difficult to present them in a mean way on film?
Very much so. Very much so. They especially for the actors, because in between takes they're sitting there cuddling with them and they're just so cute and adorable, and then they have to go into this mode of being so frightened by them. And then and you know, but we accomplished it. We did it.
There's a lot of practical dogs still in the movie, but like a lot of the times we would do two takes where we do something with a practical dog and then we shot a VFX plate, because the practical dog's tails were always wagging, and it really kills the vibe. And they you'll see on Cujo, they dealt with the same problem with like the dog's tails wagging, and they would try to tie it down and they would do other things like that. But they had 3 months to do the movie with one dog. So it's like we would shoot the shot with the tail wagging, and then we'd shoot a VFX plate and say, okay, we'll see in post which one we need to go with. And the wagging tail just really doesn't work.
Play dead.
Thank you for clicking on our video, everybody. If you like what you saw here, please make sure you like the video and subscribe and share with your friends who like this sort of content. JoBlo was created by movie fans for movie fans, and we appreciate your support.